never let you down. Will it ever get funny? Oh, I wonder, honey, baby, how you make me sway. You say you will. I'm calling your addicting friend. You say you will, yeah. I'm crossing the offensive line.
Well, happy Saturday, all. How you doing? Happy Saturday.
Hey there, David, the producer. How you doing tonight?
Cheers to you. I'm David, the producer. This is Juliet Miranda, and this is the virtual happy hour. So thanks for joining us. I'm going to go click over here on the comments. We already have quite a bit of people in the chat. Lottery of Life is here. We got Donner Pass. We got Jelly Duck, a whole bunch of other people. Not a Great Gamer. And then, of course, we have our good friend and co-host, Swami. I'm going to bring up Swami right here. And how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Every time I hear that intro song, my nipples get so hard.
Oh, that is attractive.
Oh, it's great. How's this Saturday doing?
It's a good Saturday because we have an absolute awesome guest on tonight. I've been excited about this all week.
I know.
Yeah, we have Bruce Kulick on the show tonight, which I've been getting DMs and all these IMs and emails about people going, can I come on and do my Paul Stanley impression? And all of them, I said, no, it's not going to happen.
Not a chance.
But Bruce is...
no one was saying they want to do Michael Bolton?
Oh, right. Well, you know, he was, of course, part of...
That's right, Blackjack.
Blackjack with Michael Bolton. And, I mean, it's obvious, you know, everyone knows who Bruce Kulick is. Everyone who is a Kiss fan. He's done 5 albums with them: Asylum, Crazy Nights, Hot in the Shade, Revenge,
Carnival of Souls,
and of course the live album, Alive 3, and then Kiss Unplugged. I mean, what an amazing amount of work he's done with them.
And I got to say, for me personally, that's my favorite era of Kiss.
Yeah.
All my favorite songs are from them. So.
Yeah. And, well, you had mentioned Michael Bolton he's worked with, but he's also worked with Meatloaf. And for the last 20 years, he has played with Grand Funk Railroad. I mean, arguably, I probably have more questions about Grand Funk than I do Kiss.
I know you do.
I just love Grand Funk. Big, huge fan, and I'm just thrilled to have him on. So let's bring him up. Mr. Bruce Kulick.
Cheers, sir.
How's it going?
Happy Saturday to you. Thank you for doing this.
All right. If I get a professional email and I see a lovely girl's name in there, I got to say, okay, I'll do it.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I got to add your name to the emails more often.
What are you thinking?
Yeah.
I know. We'll get fewer declines.
Well, this has got to be kind of an odd time for you, Bruce, because, one, you know, the whole COVID thing, everyone has stopped doing everything they've done, but you've taken advantage of it in another way to where you're doing the isolated riffs, you're doing solos, and you have your wife, Lisa, join you. Yes. Is that part of your new norm now?
It is. And I have to be honest. I mean, I have a good friend in China that before it became real for America, I was aware because I would reach out to him. He was a musician I used to work with many, many years ago. And he's lived in China, married a Chinese girl. He was actually in Shanghai, but still anyone there in China who's a New Yorker, really, musician, he's going to tell it like it is. And in fact, they were supposed to be here, not that long ago and buy a home, and they were moving back. And obviously, who knows how long they're stuck there. But he really warned me about the virus. I was going, do you really have to be careful with your packages? Do you have to, what about your mail? So I was asking him preemptive, like, oh my God, questions. And he's telling me, yeah, this is what you got to do. And it's going to be a while, and just be prepared for this. And then that was even before, Tom Hanks put the face on it and NBA stopped and everything happened. But even knowing that for 2 weeks, I was a wreck. I'm a control freak, and then everything changes. The Grand Funk gig gets postponed, of course. We do have some date to replace the ones, but they are later in the year, and who knows, right? Right. Terribly disturbing, just the toilet paper debacle. Okay.
Exactly. I know. It's frustrating.
Yeah. I was going to markets with my wife, which I enjoy usually doing. And I'm comfortable with a few of the ones here where I live in Las Vegas that I like, and seeing complete aisles that were empty of things. That was really bad. I was one of the guys who I didn't pay crazy, but I did overpay for Purell, because I knew I already saw that it wasn't there. So, but gladly, and I'll get to the better point. The silver lining of it is like, okay, life's not normal, and this is really hard to do what I usually do, which my life was busy, but I'd have the weekend travel dates for Grand Funk to kind of bookend all the other things I like to do, an occasional guitar lesson, occasional interview, work on some songs, maybe if I have a project, or to rehearse for some of the other things I did besides Grand Funk. And you know, social media was something important to me, but it wasn't like I was performing every day and doing things, right?
Right.
And then suddenly I remember it was this one post where I told everyone to stay home, be safe, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people were probably like, what? You know, and I thought I'll play a little bit of one of the best Kiss tracks. I think it was Tears Are Falling, which made sense. We're all crying from what? The kids are home. Nothing's can't go anywhere. You know what I mean? The strip is closed. The life stops. You know, who wants to fly? Who wants to go to a restaurant? You know, everything happened. And I remember the reaction, and my message was just really, you know, we're all in this together, stay home. And the reaction was so huge, okay, number wise, that I was like, oh, I have a new purpose here. You know what I mean? So that's when I started to apply more content for social media, improve my connection with the fans. And then Lisa and I, at times, she has a lovely voice. And, you know, our desire was always to do more performing together. And right now, she's my favorite artist that I could work with because we're safe in the home. And I always did have that equipment as like a little, it's very expensive amp, but, you know, an amp that has like reverb and for a singer, you know.
Right.
Yeah. I have plenty of gear to do whatever kind of guitar work I want to do, from something smooth for Somewhere Over the Rainbow to rockin' stuff to an acoustic arrangement, you know. And the silver lining of being busy with her, who I enjoy doing, even though we're very funny as a husband and wife about it. I'm the strict kind of school teacher, you know, professor, and she gets petrified for a second, but she always comes through, you know. You know, the communication of like music is always a little bit challenging for people, but long story short, my studio, I never really had one in the home. Okay. And I used to go to other people's studios. I could afford to do that with the budgets that I'd have, but it was more out of like, well, you know, I do enough emails and, you know, I'm busy enough on the computer. I don't want to have to run all that on my, you know, computer, you know, or iPad or whatever. And then I realized that GarageBand and my bigger computer really can work. And I asked, and now I have an operating studio. And just in a few weeks from now, there's something really exciting that I got asked to be featured on with and some of these guys are not only great players, but the singer is very well known. And they're doing it was a Kiss cover, you know, so I'm not giving away anything else. But the point is,
you can break it here, Bruce. That's all
right.
I
don't want that. But the intent of the fact that they're asking me to do something, and I'm not going to risk going to a studio to do it, that it's time for me to learn it. And the people that I trusted, engineers and people that knew me, said, you can do this. Here, just, I know you got this cabinet, get that, stick it there, do this, get that mic. You know what I mean? I'm a very good learner when I have a good brain, but until I try something and until someone with a good sense of that knowledge to share with me. So I did like a little beta test and I realized I think I can pull this off, because I don't want to make a commitment that, I'll have it by Friday, you know, and then it's, oh shit, you know, I can't do it. It doesn't sound right, or I can't operate the recording thing, or I can't export the file so that they can insert it into their engineer who's mixing everything. Everyone's doing this now. They have been doing it, and now they're doing it in video. What we're doing right here is the new norm for entertainment, and I enjoy it. I love talking about, you know, life and my career and what people are into, and I've watched a lot. I also saw quite a few really good videos where musicians put their stuff together, and it's just, you know, this pandemic is the great equalizer for how everyone looks, you know. By the way, you guys look very nice. Okay? But it's very funny if you both had your big, you know, let's say HBO nighttime show, you know how you'd look. Okay.
Right.
And now those hosts of those shows, they look like us. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the hat's here because the silver streaks in the hair right now. I'm the silver fox. I can't take it. You know, so on and off, I'm going to I know there's a couple of things I've done where I'm going like, I think people are going to know that I have a lot of gray. I just color it, but to go do the whole glam squad show on my head, and I'm not letting anybody in to do it like I usually do. So we're all kind of in this together. We're all communicating together. I'm networking much more with some people because their lives have changed. They're not going off and doing their usual gigs and whatever they're into. So I'm trying to focus on the silver lining. It's hard sometimes, and I'm actually working harder than ever. It's kind of really weird, but it's different.
It's cool, though.
I can expand, and I'm making myself do new things that will always benefit me. That I pray they get a vaccine this year, even, or whatever, right? That when things can go back to normal, I can record at home. I can perform more with my wife. I know what to do. I could actually maybe even present videos that look good or know the technology. So I'm looking at all the positives of that.
Yeah, the amount of creativity that we see in the music industry just as a whole. I mean, we're watching stuff at home here like Social Distancing Fest and a whole bunch of just individual artists that are connecting deeper with their fans that I've never seen this level before.
Exactly.
I think it's awesome. I think it just brings people closer together with the music when they have that kind of connection to the artist themselves.
Yep. Well, companies need to do it now to survive, of course, Right. So, and I always heard of Zoom, but and I started to do some things like that when asked. But I'm aware that, a very small amount of people were working at home. A lot of people have to go to an office and all that, but a lot of them converted that. But the arts, let's face it, that's their job. Okay. And they figure it out and they all have their meeting and, however that goes, which is kind of funny. I've been on the board of directors for the Musicians Institute, which is a really big school in Hollywood. Okay. And it's kind of tied to the guitar company and music. And I spent many years in LA before I moved here. But what's ironic is that probably because they needed to do different things and get accredited. And a year ago, all of a sudden we were having Zoom meetings, or it was one of those softwares. I was like, oh, this is cool. I don't have to go to Hollywood. I don't even live in LA now. So this is good. But that was but the entertainment business, how we're all reaching out. And I have to add that the challenge of, I used to be a little picky about doing the guitar lessons. I didn't do it that much. And now I realized, well, I don't have gig money. I do love teaching, even if I'm kind of like, stop, move your finger over here. I'm pretty funny at times, but I do it. It's a tough love, so I really got a little more aggressive about that. I'm not that much of I'm not the marketing salesman, but I have been doing that. And I'm also want to offer it where they can just chat with me too, because some of them may not be musicians, but they want that opportunity. So there's this app that last year I did just a little bit with, and now I'm getting much more involved. It's called Meatloaf. Kind of a funny name, sounds like a pickup site, but it's actually has a good software for giving a guitar lesson or having that one-on-one chat with a fan. And I've already had a few people that they tell me once it opens the window and they go, I don't play an instrument. I just have a lot of questions for you. I'm such a fan. I'm like, fine. Let me go get a drink. I'll put my guitar down. Let's chat. You know what I mean? When I mean a drink, not like that whiskey you have there. I saw that. I'm having just some Arrowhead, and hot tea, healthy green tea or something.
There you go.
One of my favorite artists.
When things get back to normal, and it may take a while to get there, but they'll go back to normal at some point. Do you think that you'll continue kind of the route that you've taken and continue doing things like Isolated Riff and Guitar of the Month is another great example, right?
Well, those are like the Guitar of the Month was a staple, but think about that. It's once a month. That's not so hard to do, right? The one thing I learned recently, and I was so ignorant with it, and the people that kind of just gave me a hand and set it up, that's not their real job, okay? But it's my YouTube channel or, YouTube. So I had a guy that would take, let's say, even recently, the Lisa and I performance, which it's important to have those as YouTubes because they're full performances. Even if I upload it all on Facebook or not, for some people they want to share it that way, but there's an advantage for that access via YouTube. And that was brought to my attention that in relation to all my other social media, that's really weak. So hence, even if we go back to normal, I know guys who share guitar riffs and show people things about music and the music industry, and they have these huge numbers of people, watching them, subscribing to them. So that's like one of my big goals that for me, I'm very, I'm really like really in the nursery stage of getting it going, you know what I mean? But I want to graduate from it, which would mean then I'd have 100,000 people on my channel, which means when I post that new video, they get a ding. Hey, he put up something, and they can watch that, they can share it, they can do things. That won't it won't be that I'll be stingy with Facebook or Twitter or all that, but it's a better way. I can't tell you how many times, let's say I did that beautiful Forever acoustic solo. I share it, I set it up, I explain it, I play it. There it is. A week later, they see something else from the same album that I did. Oh, when are you going to do Forever? And I'm like, but that's the way Facebook runs. You know what I mean?
There's limited amount of people that get to see it because the way that Facebook shows different posts where
if they checked in every day, they'd see it, but they're not going to. I don't expect them to. But if it's on the YouTube channel too, and then it links to the other one that they saw, then they know it's there. You get where I'm going.
You get recommended, on YouTube. And
so I'm working on all that.
I can help you. I mean, if you want to take this offline sometime, I can help you and kind of talk to you about how tags work and how,
that was something I was just going over that. I'll reach out to you if there's more questions, but
sure.
I've actually been meeting people that like I'll give you an example. Years ago, probably only about, I'd say it was only like 4 years ago, this guy contacts me and he says, look, I heard you on Sirius XM. I think it was like Chris Jericho's show. And you said that you don't own brucekulick.com as your website. Okay. So I always went with something called kulick.net. And I did say it. I said, you know how that goes, Chris. People, if you try to buy it, they want too much money. You can't afford to own it, right?
Squatters.
Yes, exactly. So this guy from Norway contacts me and he's like, I bought your domain and I want to give it to you because I'm a big fan and that's wrong. And I'm like, really? And then the people that were doing my website, they were like, it's not true. Yeah, this guy's scamming you or something. I'm like, I understand you're not trusting him, but let's see what happens. I'm not giving up my social security number to the guy. You know what I mean? It's like, let me see if he really hands me the key and then we'll switch it over. You know what I mean? Right. It was real. And then within like 6 months of that,
you can talk your domain after the show, I promise. Don't worry about
it. Okay, all right. So 6 months after that happened, I happened to have been in Norway to do these guitar clinic events, which is an easy way for me to just go and I have my like my iPad as my backing tracks, and all of a sudden there's the guys in the front of the it was some sort of I forget what kind of place it was. It was really weird, but it was a bar, restaurant with a big, like a showroom for like a couple hundred people in the back. And he's like, hi, it's Johan, and that might not be his name.
Wow.
I'm terrible, but I'm like, wow, are you the guy? And he had his wife. They were amazing. So I made, I got them guests. I gave them all the merchandise, anything they wanted. That's what could I do? And he was like, no, I'm in IT and it's nothing. It's my gift to you. I really, it was my pleasure doing that for you. So in the same hand, recently I met a guy who wants to, also a big fan. He knows Kiss. He doesn't understand why my YouTube isn't bigger. He doesn't even understand why my Facebook, which is great numbers, isn't much higher because they know that there's 10 million on Kiss's site, so right. You get what I'm saying. So relative to, he'd like to see me improve all that. So he's going to help. And the Kiss fans are the greatest. They really are. And now some of them are taking those real up close where I'll play Jungle, let's say from Carnival of Souls. I love that you mentioned that earlier. And then Tough Love from Revenge. And they're performing to it. They're taking it off of Facebook. They put it in. And then all of a sudden, they're singing because some of those backing tracks I use don't have the vocals. You know what I mean? So Brian May went ahead and did all that. He said, this is me doing this song. Go have fun with it. All that technology I'm really fascinated with, but I don't know it. The video stuff's another thing. Maybe I want to learn it, but I'd rather know the recording end. And I already have like 3 sessions that I have to do in the next, 3 or 4 days on my GarageBand thing. And I'm so excited about it because, I don't have to go somewhere. Oh, let me grab, oh, wait a minute. I have that other Telecaster. let me grab that guitar. You know what I mean? I can do that where when you're at a gig or you're traveling, you're on the road, you only have what you brought on that truck or what you flew with you, you know? So, I mean, Grand Funk, which we should talk about too. We're really
definitely
blessed. We have these backline trucks, a company that the trucks meet us. So I have like 6 guitars on 3 rigs. That's always nice, you know.
Ooh,
but all that's come to a halt, or shall I say the pause button, really. Who knows when, you know, and then you tell me. It's really weird. So if one state that we have a gig in is kind of okay, but another state nearby isn't, or
it's different everywhere.
Yeah,
Every state. Each of the governors have kind of created their own sets of rules based on what their local health officials are telling them, and they're trying to get some level of information from the federal government. So it's all across the board, but we've seen some really creative things that they're starting to open up outdoor concerts, but they're set up like drive-in theaters where people just sit in their cars and watch the band.
Because I was wondering about that. That's not a bad idea.
I think it's pretty cool. You know, it's one way for, you know, bands to, well, obviously get back out there, but they can also see their favorite acts and still stay safe for the moment.
Exactly.
Right?
You know, a lot of the Grand Funk gigs during the summer, though, a lot of them are outdoor festivals. So I don't know how that's going to happen. Okay. Right. But I do know the other gigs are casino ones. And obviously casinos are trying to figure out what to do and how to, you know, manage them. You know, their real revenue, let's face it, is gambling. Okay. Right. The entertainment is the carrot, of course, that, and will comp or the big people, you know, the ones that spend money, whatever they call those. What do they call those? The
high rollers.
High rolls, whales.
High rollers. There you go. I live in Vegas, and I'm so lame when it comes to anything with the gambling. Not my thing. But there it is. You know, then how would they want the entertainment? I know that, and then they're going to have to manage maybe the entertainment where we do it. But you know, some of them did have tables there. You know, so maybe they can set it up in a safer way. This is the first like somewhat intelligent, practical conversation I've had about it. So thank you. I like the drive-in thing too, but I don't think we can do that at a casino.
Not at a casino, you can't. No.
Well, I think this is forcing all of us to be more creative in how we handle things. And I wanted to address a question that I saw roll through in the chat. You were talking about some of your upcoming projects, things that you're working on, and someone wanted to know, and I'd love to know too, do you have any plans on working with John Corabi again? You know,
John and I did do a expo together last year, and then it was so funny, we couldn't rehearse, so we knew like, well, we can pull off these 5 songs, but they wanted us to play an hour, so I was like, so John, we'll just do those 5, then I'll bring up Lisa, I can rehearse with her, right? And that's what we did. We've done some things together on you know, that we've talked about. I've had some discussions. It's kind of hard for me to know what's going to happen. I know he's working on a solo record, and he was asking maybe I could help write a song or do something. And now I got to let him know about the studio. That's only a week old. You know, like, John, send me something. I can play for you, you know? So, but, and it's kind of interesting. There's another friend of ours who, out of his like depression of the COVID-19, started you know, his own podcast show, and he knows a lot of musicians. So he's had a couple of fun people. This guy, Coffee Talk, it's called, you know? So he had 3 of the band Union, not John though. It's kind of funny you mentioned, but, 3 of the other guys from the band, Brent and James, James I haven't seen on a screen or anything in a couple of years. So that was fun. And we were all chatting about things. So I don't want to rule out anything. And nowadays, you know, you could just do one song and create a buzz, you know, and I know there's people that would love us to gig together or do something. And right now, you know, gigging is still like, you know, we got to figure that out. But the answer is I have a great relationship with him. And I hope at some point we'll be able to do some stuff together.
Oh, this is a perfect opportunity. I'm sure you have his email.
Yeah, I'm going to reach out to him because recently, you know, like I said, it was kind of ironic that 3/4 of the band Union I had with him were brought up. And I was prepared. I was showing like some rare Union things because I knew there was some fans watching. And I even had the 1-inch master tape, you know, that somehow wound up every time I moved. Here it is. And I'm like, what am I going to do with this thing? But it was fun to show it for the camera, you know.
One thing that I'd love to see more of, and I know that you only do these once a month right now, is that Kiss Guitar of the Month. And I'm sure, you know, at some point you're going to run out of guitars. I don't know how many you have.
I will. No, I will. I know that. Yeah.
I got to tell you that baby blue ESP, I will thumb wrestle you for it. That thing is gorgeous. I couldn't believe how nice that was.
Yeah, I mean, for me now, what I'm also doing besides the guitar of the month, and by the way, it's May, so there's one coming soon. But yeah, and I'm still trying to figure out, because I try to tie it in with things, but I may not. Right now, content's content, so it doesn't matter if it's if there's an anniversary guitar to a tour or not. But I've also been now going like, okay, well, they think I'm a jukebox with all the songs, like play this one, play that one, I got to do my homework and figure them out. Obviously, the ones you've been seeing me perform generally, I didn't have to spend an hour figuring it out like I'm going to go gig, okay?
Right.
Because I have a lot of other things that I'm doing and what's going on. So ultimately, I'm going to show other guitars that especially the ones that they've been kind of seen before. Now they may not be, or they may be a little bit Kiss related or not, but I think they do like hearing, and I'm also aware that fans, and it was told to me by some people who do a lot of the internet kind of content help, that people like storytelling. I know Paul did a couple of really good ones. He played and he performed, but he also had a story setting it up, how Love Gun started or whatever. And that's all new to me, and I'm getting more comfortable with it too. It used to be, I just want the key points with the script, and then But
I think you're killing it with that. The storytelling, I think, is what sells those videos the most, because what I learned about which ones went up for auction, the people that have bought them, the things that you've done for the community based on that, how you came up maybe with a riff on a guitar. I mean, all of that. That's what the fans want to hear.
Good. I'm glad you're mentioning it, and that's not hard. I enjoy saying it. Like, people always asked about, when are you doing your book? And over 10 years ago, I started working on it with a guy that was in the industry, and we had some really great interviews. And we got probably about 24 chapters. And then I remember I was able to shop it with him. And of course, the first big person that we met, like, no, can't you do this more like Motley Crue, The Dirt? Okay. My life was nothing like that. Okay.
Right.
But what I got out of it was, all right, I just want to tell my story of my career in a much more positive way. But I remember there was a lot of content on the old Kulick.net, which was the old website, that I used to do like a album and tour and video rewind. And I'd share everything about, let's say, the Crazy Nights album, track by track, the tour, the videos, all the product that came out. And those things went really well. You can't access them right now, but I have them archived, all that stuff. But think about it. That's like great for a book, or a way to jumpstart me in front of the camera, sharing that story where I could be, talking about it. So, and that's all great stuff for the YouTube as well, besides Facebook.
We had KK Downing on the show not all that long ago, and it was actually to promote the new book that he did. And he's working with a press company out of the UK that is very musician friendly. I'll shoot you a note and let you know who they were, because they were great to work with to get KK on, but they're very interested in musical memoirs, musical stories, that kind of stuff.
And my thing with the book, even if I self-published it, although I'd love to be involved with someone, I was kind of looking forward to getting it together and then having it out shortly or within 6 months after Kiss is done. Okay.
Right.
Now, I mean, if I was, I'm not, and I have no inside scoop here, but if I was Doc McGee and Gene and Paul and all thinking about, we made that date the last date, you know what I mean? The July 21st. Meanwhile, they're missing out on a lot and we don't know how much more, right? Nobody does. And why couldn't they extend that? In which case, I don't want to look for a, January 2022, release of my book because there could be more, because I'm hoping, there's been that discussion of having me involved at the last show and making that something really big and special. And I know if there's any band that could pull that off, it would be Kiss. It would be amazing. But, and I've been in touch with them and everybody. I got to feel like, I mean, everyone's handling it their own way. But, the big bands that do these massive tours with 10 trucks and 100 crew and wow, you know what I mean? And then when you gear that back up, you need a lot of time. So that's why I'm kind of still surprised that the Motley, there's no thing about that big stadium tour yet, but maybe they're trying to figure that out.
I would imagine at that point they are.
Yep.
Well, you mentioned Doc McGee, and he was someone that I had on my show a while back, and he mentioned the possibility of having Kiss continue without it being Kiss, just put 4 other guys in the makeup
Yep.
and send them out on
Yep.
stage. What are your thoughts on that?
It's always funny when he talks about it. I mean, Kiss is iconic enough that in some form, maybe there is a market for people being Gene Paul and Ace and Peter. I mean, as much as I love Tommy and Eric in a way, they're being the Ace and Peter, they're being the Catman and because if we're talking about makeup Kiss, out of all due respect, and I'm very tight with both of them.
Sure.
But I know that him saying continuing on, Eric and I have sometimes like chatted about it, and even we were confused. Well, does that mean that, all right, well, just Gene and Paul retire, and because Eric and Tommy are younger, they carry on? You know what I'm saying? And nobody knows really because they're not done and they're not there yet, and it might be much further down the road. But Doc's a big vision guy. He's very, very good at that. He's an amazing manager with the big picture, and that's why Gene and Paul love him and have always done very well with him. And I like him personally too, but I know that I'm not sure how that works, and I'm not sure what it would do. But I do think Kiss, another thing, I think a band like that, they've done residencies, and I think they should consider that again too, because that at least eliminates them going a lot of places. The people would have to come to them, and then if that's a controlled environment, think about it, then they can set it up where it's safer for the people. The people could be checked. Maybe there's some distance. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's interesting, just the way that everything could potentially be reformatted and how we appreciate music. But I think this also opens up an opportunity for new rock music. I mean, in the past couple of years, I feel as though rock has kind of been a little stagnant and a little confused. What kind of potential do you see for maybe making it a bigger thing now?
Well, certainly. I mean, it's kind of funny. I did this panel with Dee Snider and there was some other Ricky Rocket from Poison, and we were all there about this Cameo Cares, which is we all belong to Cameo, buy the shout out from your star kind of thing, and the money for 3 days anyone that was booked gave to a COVID-19 charity of your choice. Dee got really crazy about one point. It's the rock is dead thing. And he was like hammering that's bullshit. And it was a big discussion. Mike Portnoy was the drummer guy, was the kind of the centerpiece. Anyway, he kind of threw the questions around, and he made a very valid point that the problem with rock and roll, and just like I know Dee's been part of doing something where have the Super Bowl. Why isn't it an AC/DC? Why have they ignored rock and roll? And the reason why I'm responding to that point that you made with what Dee was talking, he's right. Rock isn't dead. It never really went away. Now, in the sense of numbers and the sense of charts and the sense of, but as a pop culture thing, it's huge. What do you think I'm doing when I play with Grand Funk? Everybody sees me up there and I'm playing the Star Spangled Banner like a Jimi Hendrix style, wah-wah and distortion and wailing away. And we play some crowds. It's all ages. It's a city festival and all that. And Grand Funk's totally classic rock, and the people go nuts. Yet, you know what I mean? It's not what's considered new and hip. So I do think that, maybe this changes that playing field, or this changes the kind of groups that get attention, and maybe smaller clubs and some bands could come out of that, because that might be an easier way for people to be entertained. Your guess is as good as mine, but I'm hoping for that. But to me, I agree with Dee now. Even though I've always been a little depressed about the numbers for rock and roll, in the sense of a pop culture thing, it's not gone. It never was, and it never will be.
It's kind of hard because I don't think rock is dead in the sense of the word. I don't think metal is dead. I don't think rock is dead. I don't think punk is dead. I just think that it's because media is such a tight-knit group now that they decide what they want to push and what they don't want to push. And investment on the part of the media and the platforms that come out, then they say, well, we put money behind this, so we need this investment to pay out. So let's push out these pop acts that we write songs for, that are easy to go through, they're family oriented, everyone can watch them. Fuck the metal, fuck the hardcore, fuck the punk shit, and let's just go with this because it sells to everybody and it makes a lot more money. So easier for them to promote these kind of bands comparison to like a good old hardcore metal band or a rock band even, which the rock bands I think probably have it safer than the harder core style stuff.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, they're looking to try to bring in everybody, and they're doing that in everything, even movies. Like every movie today that comes out, there's no longer rated R movies. There's no longer PG-13 movies. Everything's PG because they're just always trying to go for a grander, bigger audience. And it sucks for us musically because the originality just dies out. But
and how about like Guardian of the Galaxies, right? Because he's got that tape that is connected to his mom, and
Great
then all of a sudden these amazing songs, and not always the most popular ones. Some of them were a little bit deeper tracks, but and then that record sells like double platinum. You know what I mean? So and then you see the car commercials where there's a Who song or a Hendrix thing or a Beatle thing. And that's more the proof what Dee is saying. I mean, maybe metal is still goofed upon, but look at the sales for the Motley Poison Def Leppard stadium tour. You know,
speak for themselves.
Yep, exactly.
Absolutely.
So let's hope. I mean, I can't predict anything, but I know I'm blessed that I'm connected to, you know, a band that's iconic. Not that it's everyone's cup of tea. You know, Lisa's aunt, who she's not real close with, but I did a gig near her at a casino out in not far from San Diego, and she came with her daughter and family, and she admitted to me after the show. I got to see her for a minute before, and she goes like, "All right, I didn't think I'd like Grand Funk. I didn't think I'd like any of this. I was blown away. I loved it. You guys are terrific." You know, so it's kind of funny. I don't know why. Maybe she didn't think it would be really good and entertaining, but anyway.
I think people forget how many songs they really do know by the band.
Or just think it's not going to be musical, or it's not going to be. I mean, we're really organic. We don't get away with. I mean, we don't have the luxury of a gigantic production behind us. You know, I mean, Kiss is brilliant. They got the songs, they entertain. Of course, in makeup, to me, even without makeup during my era, we had outrageous stage sets. Okay, but the technology didn't exist for what they can do now, of course, you know. And you know, I have a neighbor right here in Las Vegas who's been so successful in all what those EDM artists do with the multimedia that goes on around them, and he's retooling everything in his life too. Why shouldn't he? You know what I mean? Because he realizes he's going to be able to create some virtual content possibly, or something that's relevant to us all being like re-examining how the music business goes. But I think Kiss would be entertaining in Paul's rehearsal room in his guest house. You know what I mean? In not maybe in makeup, but just in regular clothes, playing acoustic guitar. You know, I mean, look at the reaction I'm getting from Lisa and I, and they could easily do that. But of course, that's not the model that has put Kiss at the top of that concert, you know, box office numbers. You got to be doing the arenas and the big shows and out there with the production that is just mind blowing, you know.
What I love is that, you know, bands like, well, obviously like Grand Funk Railroad and you joining them, and I'm seeing almost like a trend, because now, you know, Rudy Sarzos is in the Guess Who, right? I mean, it's like all these people that have, you know, been in kind of like metal or hard rock bands are now kind of joining these great iconic classic rock bands, which I love that. I think that brings a vitalizate or a new revitalizes kind of the category, if you will.
And it brings it to new people also. You know, you get a different audience. You get a younger audience too, who could be hearing it for the first time live. And that's, I mean, that's life-changing in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I mean, none of that music should ever die. And obviously some of the bands, you know, you lose a member or they don't get along. So you look how Journey has flourished with a little Philippine guy, but he sings great. And who knows if Steve Perry could even pull that off. Neil and the other guys, I know they seem to fight a lot, which I don't know anything about. It's a
little sad what's going on right now, but
yeah, but great players, you know, so they carry that name. I remember seeing Yes with a different singer years ago, and I was still really entertained because I just love that music. So and I've had some of my friends, even in bigger bands, that would say, you know, when this is over, I'd love to have your gig. I just fly out on the weekends and play some great rock and roll. And I'm like, wait a minute, you're jealous of me? You know, you're the one in the private jet. What are you saying? You know, but I get that's only that can only happen for very few people, very short periods of time sometimes. But anyway, I just wonder what the Rolling Stones are doing right now. You know, think about the way they tour and how they It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm sure Keith Richards is crying in his castle right now.
Exactly.
Hey, Bruce, I wanted to bring up one of our good friends. This is Not a Great Gamer, because he had just an amazing Kiss story that I thought you would appreciate. So,
All right.
Gamer, that's Bruce. Bruce Gamer.
Lovely to meet you.
Oh,
Well,
thank
lovely
you.
to see you as well, guys. Just all of you. Yeah, Dave told me he was coming up the other day, and I couldn't believe it. My mother passed away in 2008 of cancer. She, when I was 21 when she died. I didn't have the most stable upbringing, should we say. I won't go into it on here, it's just, but one thing I do remember vividly is Kiss Crazy Nights. It is one of my favorite albums of all time.
I think that's my Gold Crazy Nights album over there.
I was going to ask that later. It is one.
You brought that up.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll bring it over to it.
You mentioned Crazy Nights earlier, and I literally started shaking.
Yeah, here you go. Not to brag, but I'm proud of my
That is so awesome.
Amazing.
Hopefully there's not too much of a reflection there, but you get it. You got the vibe.
That is awesome. And every year I go up to my mother's. She was scattered in an airfield, so not so much a grave, because she loved planes. And one of the songs that is played every year is "Reason to Live," full out loud, with the doors open.
Mm-hmm.
The guitar solo in that as well.
Thank you.
A lot to that song.
Right. Well, thanks.
Yeah, I
It
thought
is a groundbreaking. No, sorry, it's just I don't want to say sound cheesy and say thank you and all of that,
but thank you.
That really impacted my life. I still listen to like a lot of Kiss now. I'm still, especially the Unmasked era. In fact, in my personal opinion, the best era was you, Eric Carr, Paul and Gene.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, it's ironic.
I'm bad at wording things.
You mentioned Reason to Live, and we've been chatting about how busy in the beginning of the interview. I was talking about how busy I was, how excited I was to have my wife Lisa help me, be my other artist that I could, showcase our talent together, But Reason to Live, that one was the biggest one. I'm still hoping to do one that has numbers as big as Reason to Live. And then everyone asked for the guitar solo, so that's very, very ironic. You mentioned the guitar solo.
It's a very soulful solo. It's got a lot of.
It's really tricky. It had things in it that freaked me out. So it took me about 2 weeks. I remember trying it and Lisa always is my video girl, unless she's busy she does this bling art, which is excellent. So there's times she gets really busy and then I just set up a tripod and go for it. You know what I mean? I could edit it later. And I remember I couldn't get the solo right. And I said, no, I got to practice this. And then ironically, it came up in a guitar lesson. Somebody wanted to learn it. So I started listening to it again. And then just like the next day I did film it, The Reason to Live. I did it right in front of my computer, playing along to the track. And fortunately I nailed it, because it's a hard solo, but thank you for bringing that up. But it's interesting that was one of the biggest songs. So not only is it meant something to you and maybe related to your mom who you lost, and my sympathies for that, but I do feel like that song, which didn't get enough attention from Kiss, even when they went back to makeup or anything, we didn't do it on Unplugged even. I didn't get to play it a lot with the band, just maybe in support of the Crazy Nights album. But honestly, that song got such a great reaction online. So, and I'm hoping once I really get that YouTube channel together that people go there, then they can watch it instead of trying to find it and scrolling through Facebook, because we know that that's not an easy way to find what you want to watch.
Yeah. I think the whole album knows, I've got to say, amazing.
I need to do more from Crazy Nights, and I'm gonna. I know I did the solo to Crazy Nights, but didn't really do it as a story. And we've been chatting about that. David mentioned that that's a good thing to do, you know. So I'm gonna start exploring all this because this is good for me.
Yeah,
And
love seeing those videos up there, and the story behind that song and that solo would make for a great video.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, I think, and I'm going to look back at what I wrote when I did it for the old website. You know what I mean? Because that's going to spark all the, you know, kind of memories. You know what I mean? And I could have a good discussion. I know just a couple of days ago I posted the Ovation. It's not the actual guitar, but it's the same model. It sounds exactly the same as the physical one that I played on MTV Unplugged, and everyone loved that. And in that one I didn't play that much. I just played a little bit, but just talking about the guitar. So, but Crazy Nights is an album I got to dig into a little more and do a few more of the songs. And I thanks for reminding me. And you sound British, am I right?
No, Spanish.
Wait a minute, what was it that accent?
No, I'm from London.
Okay, yeah, there you go. So anyway, that you know, Crazy Nights is the album that was really big in the UK, and not only was it big in the UK, but it seemed to in some way, Crazy Nights the single was huge, and it's like the one song. It's funny that Eric Singer, and I've met Brian, but Eric Singer has worked with Brian May, and any guitar player loves Brian May, and he's such a gentleman. He's brilliant, and he's such a wonderful guy. Queen, how could you know?
Oh yeah.
Amazing, right? And I remember that Eric and I have had this discussion a few times. How like the only Kiss song he knows is "Crazy Nights." You know what I mean? And I know he knows me. We met a few times, and he knows of me, and he's very very polite to me. But it's really great that he goes, "Yeah, that's the song I like. The rest, I don't know anything else. I don't really care." But the guitar playing's really good. You know, he liked it, so that means so much to me that there's a connection with Brian May with that one song. It's kind of funny. But it was a big record in the UK for sure.
Asylum's got some amazing guitar on it. I love the sound that, should we say before you, Creatures of the Night, the way the sound evolved. I think you evolved it more. It like went, there was little steps and then it went kaboom. And then from Asylum, and I love it how Hot in the Shade is completely different, in my opinion, to Crazy Nights.
Yep.
And then Revenge is just, we have a saying in England, a different kettle of fish.
Yes.
Do you have that saying over there?
I know the saying.
It's, and then Carnival is just, it's crazy what you did in terms of evolution in, should we say, so little albums in such a short period of time.
Right.
I find it absolutely outstanding that each album brings a completely different,
different
feel. It's completely different. Like some days I am in the mood for Crazy Nights. Other days, if I was a bit pissed off when I used to lift weights, I used to chuck Revenge on, for example. But there is nothing. If you're deadlifting to Unholy, I promise you're going to deadlift more.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. No, I always laugh. There's certain artists that I love. You know, they have a catalog of music from the Beatles to Led Zeppelin, and each album has its own thing. And you go for the ones that make you feel a certain way. And you know, I know you guys saw my coffee cup lately. I've been really just digging into the last 4 years into the Sinatra's, you know, catalog of music, and he had many different albums of his style of music, and the singing even changed a bit. But I appreciate the comment about how, you know, I did evolve with the band, okay, and the band evolved, and then of course they devolved, if you know what I mean.
Massive step back
because they had to go back to the makeup, okay, and then they carried that on. But it's really made my era very special, I find, and it's become in the same way that maybe the 20 years that it took for them to go back and make up and get, you know, first, of course, as the reunion, how that was like Star Wars coming back, you know, maybe there is this incredible love for, you know, from Animalized, Asylum, the Crazy Nights to Hot in the Shade and Revenge, Carnival Souls, and so forth, and Unplugged and Alive 3 and the smashes in between the other two. You know, it's really it's something that it touches my life every day. It's a part of my life, even though I haven't been in the band since '95. You know what I mean? It's pretty crazy. '96. So think about that. The body of work is something I'm proud of, and I was never thought really I'd be in the band for 12 years. That was you think
Made it a lot longer than a few.
Yeah.
And I always get asked that kind of well, what was it like when and believe me, I was just trying to do the best I could. I didn't realize that those albums, those tours, those videos would be still enjoyed and passed on to other generations. And then people were asking me about it. And then I'm like, oh, they love that multi-swirl looking ESP guitar. Right. I'm going to, reissue it through the guitar company, and then people clamor for it and go crazy and cherish it, either hanging on the wall or play it. But it's mind blowing, and I'm obviously very, very proud, to have this connection with this band. But it's just interesting when you're doing it. I wish I was keeping everything, filming everything, photographing everything, documenting everything.
When you're in the middle of the tornado, it's hard to even kind of reflect on what you're actually doing there. Mm-hmm. You're just doing it and getting it out there. But I know you had a question about.
Yeah, actually, I heard I think it was an interview, you said that going back to Kiss now with the makeup and taking on the role of spaceman, I think you referred to it as kind of losing your liberties a little bit. And I was hoping you could kind of expand on that a little bit.
Well, look, my era, I was never really asked to play exactly like Ace. Of course, I was so respectful of certain parts and songs and solo riffs that make them important. A solo should always bring a song to the next level, and Ace did a lot of the songs that we did. Obviously the solo was important, but I didn't have to play it note for note. But I would say that the important themes, the signature riffs, were all represented by me, and I played it my way. And my era was very different guitaristically, because where Ace is iconic with a Les Paul, the whammy bar guitars, all that was going on. And I was good with it, and I enjoyed it, and I had those guitars, and I was asked to use them because that was what I guess you can call it more the hair metal era, even though we dropped it a bit in by the time Hot in the Shade came around, then I brought it back a little bit in Revenge and Carnival of Souls. But the real point is my techniques had to be unique to that era. So if I was asked to join the band, and then first of all, it would have been really weird to be the spaceman for me, because I already had 12 years of being me, and and then I should be playing much more like Ace. And then, well, where's Bruce? They knew how I played. So I just think the mashup of that, I never felt, I know they didn't ask me because I wasn't good enough, but I do know that Tommy, if they want somebody who was going to be professional and play Ace really well and be a joy to work with, they got the right guy, and it's funny that Tommy and I are good friends. He's been honest with me, your style is not that easy for me, and I don't even try to necessarily do it. So whenever they've inserted one of those songs in the set, he's kind of playing a little bit of my riffs, but he's not. But every one of the vintage Ace songs, he's playing note for note. So I guess that's kind of like interesting for me. But again, I mean, how do I?
Well, it's a testament to your playing and how individualistic it was as part of those songs. That's a pretty cool thing.
And I love it lately. There's more and more guys online that are like, here's how to play like Bruce Kulick, you know what I mean? And they're showing things, and they're really well done. Some of the guys that do it, I can learn from them if I'm not sure how I did it, you know what I mean?
Bruce, there are thousands of guys out there doing your licks. I did a search on just, learn this song, right?
Right.
I mean, there's thousands of people that are trying to emulate what you're doing.
Right. It's become more and more, and it's so flattering for me. Although it's funny, and Lisa laughs when she sees me watching them and going like, "Yeah, he got that riff right." No, that's the wrong string.
That's a good wife.
Better than me. What was that? Oh no, he didn't do that riff right. You know what I mean? I get very like Forever. I always find is one of the hardest ones, and I've actually taught it in a few of the lessons. And some of the guys were really good, but just little subtle things that is so hard to pick off of a record or a video. And obviously, I wasn't in the videos that much for them to see it, but I'm fascinated with all that.
You need to do reaction videos to people doing that stuff. People would love
Yeah, that
Oh
would
my
be fun.
gosh.
There you
Yeah.
That would be a ton of fun.
Yep.
You missed it by a half step.
Yeah. I love
Cheater
that.
notes.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
a couple cheater notes there.
Yeah.
Hey, no palming there. Hey, stop it.
That reminds me of, I know there's some podcasts or some videos where these two guys, and they don't necessarily know the band, but they're gonna like listen to it and judge it and talk about it. You know what I mean? And I remember seeing one, a guy shared with me. What was odd was I think they were two black guys, and they're talking about Unholy or something.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And I never heard it
I
before.
know which channel you're talking
Yeah.
about.
I think it went pretty viral, and I was like really flattered. I thought they're entertaining, period. But
Yes.
the fact that they would do a Kiss song, and especially one like Unholy, was hilarious.
They do like all the metal. It's and all the rock bands. I've watched them quite a bit. They're really good.
No, you said that's what they do, right?
That's
usually
what they do.
like,
That's something that's out of their, usual
It would be like
of what they listen to.
Yeah, if I did like a hardcore like crazy rap thing from like one of those cars that's next to me going, that's all I could hear, and I'm going like,
But oddly enough,
I
you
wanna
are
do that.
tied to Kanye West, aren't you?
Yes. In fact, over that way, you can see there he is in the striped jersey there. That's my
Wow.
double platinum for the college dropout. It was just weird. It was just one of those things. Kanye's a guy that dug deep, and he found a blackjack thing, something with Michael Bolton that we wrote that he reworked for that first album. It's pretty cool.
And then Michael Bolton, writes a song for Kiss. It
He
all
wrote
comes
Forever.
full circle.
Yeah, it's incredible. I
Well,
love it.
Be clear, you got to be fair to Paul Stanley. They co-wrote it, okay?
Oh,
Yes,
co-wrote.
That bothers Paul, okay?
I'm sure it does.
Well, that's what David said. He said he wrote it for. No, but I introduced them. I mean, why not? Michael is a great songwriter.
Yeah.
He asked me. I'm in Kiss. We worked together, and then he knew that power ballads were like all the rage for the hair metal bands, because that was our era. Even though I always felt Kiss was a little different, but still that's the era. And he came up with Forever with Paul, and God bless them for it, because I got a chance to step out and do a solo that I get requested a lot, and I love that. I mean, it means a lot to me.
That's cool. And Bruce, we're right here at the top of the hour. And I can't thank you enough for doing this.
Absolutely.
This was so much fun, and hearing
I
the
enjoyed
stories about everything. But I want to give you an opportunity, if there is something that you want to promote right now, whether it's, I know Grand Funk probably doesn't have dates at the moment, or maybe something in the future.
They're there,
or
but they're put ahead, or they say,
Right.
TBA and all that. But all that stuff's on my website, brucekulick.com, given to me by a friend in Norway, a fan in Norway. And then there's the official Facebook, my name, Twitter. It's easy to find me. I'm verified on all three of those. But the one that I really like people to see, because if they want to hear Reason to Live from my wife and I and other content like that, and we take a lot of attention to doing that well and trying to perform as good as we can. That's all. I do have an official YouTube channel. It's not that hard to find me. You click on one of those.
We'll point to everyone in the description of this below.
Okay, good.
We'll put all of those websites, but we'll put
Okay.
the YouTube on top. It's important.
Right.
Everyone needs to go out and
know how to do
subscribe.
that one. I know the other social media, but really just keep in touch with me on social media. The exciting thing that's coming up in a couple of weeks, I can't mention, but it will be all over my social media, because it's really kind of cool. Me featured on a cool song with some really great players. And then I of course want to do some stuff with the band that the guys, and they happen to all live here in Vegas, and we performed on the Kiss Cruise. So we're working on original music. Next week, I know I'm going to start getting back into that. And I'm going to be doing more things using my studio at home, because now I finally have one, thanks to COVID-19. Okay, but I'm trying to just, be adapting. We're all adapting to this,
Yeah.
And I'm staying safe. I
Everything
go out,
has been a lot more than you probably anticipated, right?
Yes. I get up earlier. I go to bed later. I work more. But there is something that I'm seeing it kind of like the reaction's good, and that means a lot for me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I need that. So that's why I want all my fans to keep the conversation going. I know they all love my wife now, and she's so flattered. She loves it. She loves communicating with them, and it's been really an interesting time. But instead of freaking out, I'm busy, so that's good.
Yeah. And
Perfect.
again, everyone that's in the chat, and we apologize for not being able to get to everyone in the chat. There's been all kinds of great conversation in there.
Good.
But just know that we all love you. We're really
Thank
thrilled that you came here to see Bruce. And all of you, go subscribe to Bruce's YouTube channel. You know where it's at.
Oh, yeah.
Bruce Kulick, easy to find.
Absolutely.
So everyone have a great night. Have a great rest
Yeah.
of your Saturday, and rock on.
Yeah. Cheers,
All right.
y'all.
Thanks for having me, guys. All right. Bye, Juliet, David,
Bye.
and British man. And the other guy with the hat. I forgot his name.
Swami.
That'll do. Thank you very
All right.
much.
All right. Thanks,
No
guys.
problem.
Have a great night. Okay,
Take
bye-bye.
care.
Later. Oh, you ran off. We're still live. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm ended the broadcast. Sorry about that, guys.